As I said the other week, a little alliteration.
Awesome. Yes.
When I referred to Arless, Loveless, and Clueless, Lawless.
Well, for those of you who are patient, welcome to GrokTALK, brought to you live now from the Londonderry Fish and Game Club.
Yes.
And we're happy to be here. And, of course, Rick, the president of the club, is with us. And, of course, he's a grokster.
All hail the host.
And yes, thank you very much for your hospitality. He's providing the grill that we'll be cooking our lunch on later. And we always like to grill things and shoot things, and that's what we're here for.
Yes. And we like to grill politicians, too.
But we're not shooting the grill.
We're not shooting the grill.
We're not shooting
the grill. We're not probably grilling what we're shooting because we're going to be shooting targets, and targets just burn up when you grill them.
Exactly. I got some paper targets, too. And we're not grilling the politicians, at least not on the grill. We grill them verbally.
Well, all right, so speaking of all the fun things that have gone this week, I did mention that the governor is in Turkey. That's kind of a local issue, and we've talked about it a few times. But I think the biggest issue this week for us, and of course Rick and I both wrote about it, was the unity plea.
Plea. I was just going to correct you and say pledge, and no, plea is right. So is it unity of voting or unity of principle? That is the question.
Well, it's the unity of voting, and the chairman, Jennifer Horn, came out and kind of excoriated, to borrow a word from Skip, two members of the Republican Party who are running for the U.S. Senate, Bob Smith and Jim Rubens, for not signing on to a letter that Scott Brown leapt to sign, saying that whoever won the primary, that they would endorse that person. Now, my first objection, thank you for that extra music, wherever that was coming from.
That was the advertising. I was just checking that Ustream was working.
So, okay. Jim Rubens said he didn't want to sign it because Scott Brown hadn't agreed to do enough debates.
Yeah, he basically said, we don't know who Scott Brown is because he won't talk to us.
And Scott Brown eventually said, okay, well, I'll do two more. And Jim Rubin signed
it. With what?
Bob Smith has said, no, I'm not going to just sign this thing. And my defense of him was, why would he sign it? I mean, why would you swear to endorse somebody who isn't really a Republican?
And I have actually said the same thing on Granite Grok, that I will, if Scott Brown is the nominee, I will not vote in that race because I am tired of settling for the lesser of two evils. And trust me, when Scott Brown votes 62% of the time with the Democrats in the U.S. Senate and is complaining that Jeanne Shaheen votes 99% of the time, I'm sorry, but that means that Scott Brown's voting less than 40% of the time with Republicans. He's voting more like the Democrats. We've got Democrats in the New Hampshire House that vote more with Republicans than they do with the Democrats, more than Scott Brown does in the U.S. Senate. I'm not going to do it anymore, folks. I've had it.
Here's Senator Smith's quote. Under no circumstances will I endorse the Democrat nominee or a third-party candidate in this race, which is something that Horn had hinted that they might do. I supported the Republican platform for more than 98% of the time over an 18-year career in the U.S. House and Senate. I support every plank in the Republican platform. Who else in this race can say that? If you had extended me the courtesy of a private letter and allowed me to answer these questions prior to making your accusations in public, I would have made this known to you. And so basically that's his problem. And of course, we're having a little fight on Facebook this morning at the Granite Grok Facebook page if you want to join in. I think that's where it is. I posted this a couple places, but I believe that's where this is happening, where some establishment folks are fighting over the issue of you should vote for the Republican because we need to do this or to do that or da-da-da. And of course, I'm thinking to myself, we do have unity. We're not against unity. We're in favor of unity for the platform principles. We think that all the Republicans should unify behind the platform. That's unity. That's not what Chairman Horn is asking for. That is not what these candidates are standing for. They are not standing for unity. They are leaving the party platform to vote with Democrats for whatever reason seems appropriate at the time. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to fight for their principles. They don't want people calling them names. They want to be part of the club. I don't care about any of those things. We have a platform. We all voted for it. We voted for the people who voted for the platform. As long as the platform's solid and you're a Republican, your job is to unify behind the platform, and you're not doing it.
Well, here's the deal. What she is asking us to do is to switch who we are. We at Granite Grok stand behind the Republican platform because it is a good conservative platform. It enhances and talks to natural rights and the constitutional rights of this state and of the country. What she is telling us to do is that we must abandon those stances and become what Gene Chandler keeps telling us, that any person with an R after their name is a good Republican. So she is demanding that we become Gene Chandler Republicans. I absolutely refuse to do that.
We are not Nelson Rockefeller Republicans. We are Barry Goldwater Republicans, and we're damn proud of it. And Ronald Reagan. And he wasn't conservative enough. Seriously. I mean, Ronald Reagan said a good Republican was somebody who was with you about 80% of the time. About 80% of the time might qualify Jim Rubens. About 95% of the time or better would qualify Bob Smith. And 40% of the time or less is Scott Brown. Why would he be the automatic choice? I think that's ludicrous. And the states, the state Senate Republicans have shown us this year that they are not willing to hew closely to the platform. And they gave us taxes and they gave us Medicaid expansion, which will cause taxes, and they don't seem to care, and they'll be long gone when we're picking up the bill. And I think that's offensive.
Sir, at the other end of the table there.
Yes.
He agrees. All right.
I agree.
Oh, come on. I just moved the Eye of Sauron to put you on
The
camera.
conservative Star Chamber is in concurrence.
I was looking for the Facebook fight. See, that's the rabbit hole I went down.
J.R. Hull just sent a separate email capturing comments from Sean Jasper and others, which he just sent to me.
Well, it looks like somebody's going to be doing some email doodlings, which is what I call, I tell all the Groksters, I don't care where the content comes from, especially if it's amusing. And if it's out on Facebook, out on Twitter.
It's public, yeah.
Yeah, bring it on back, because part of our FAQs, frequently asked questions, says, anytime you send an email to us or communicate with us, we consider it worthwhile to comment upon. And I have in the past, much to the dismay of some.
Well,
absolutely. There's a lot of stuff you can get out of that. Go on, Rick.
This week I wrote this blog post, the Havenstein-Brown problem. Okay.
Oh,
yesterday, which is very
yesterday.
You hit some thin skin there. I got calls about that.
Oh, yes. Well, let me tell you my take on it. Havenstein is spending money now. And he's got TV commercials out there where he has his wife out there who remarkably looks a lot like Jean Shaheen,
Ooh, no.
She does.
No.
You wouldn't agree with that? She does. She looks like Jean Shaheen. Or at the very least, she could be Jean Shaheen's sister.
She's
Judy Havenstein,
looking, I think.
Huh?
Yeah.
I think in person she's.
Well, it wasn't a commentary on looks. It was commentary on hairstyle and facial features and things like that.
I put a picture up of Jean Shaheen all the time. Mr. Havenstein's wife has no green tint to her skin.
But anyways, as I was starting to say, is I'm listening to the message of these campaign ads. On the one hand, you have Walt Havenstein. The only thing he has communicated is what he wants to do, but he doesn't say how he's going to do that. It's more of a macro, peripheral message. I want to make New Hampshire the best it can be, the best place to raise a family, and the best place for business environment. Well, I don't know what that means. I mean, we're not talking details here, and we still have a primary ahead of us. These guys are acting like they're the totally only ones in the race.
Well, so Brown pretends that he doesn't have any challenges, which is why he won't do any debates except under controlled circumstances, and
sure.
It's now biting him in the ass. Havenstein, I don't think sees it that way, but he's at least he's wisely not mentioning how the GOP pulled him into the race at his events. At least not that I've heard yet. But James Pindell, I think, put it probably exactly backwards when he says that Havenstein has a primary challenger in the form of Andrew Hemingway. No, sir. We respect you, and we'd like to hear more of what you have to say. But
speak for yourself.
But he has a good reputation. I want to see him prove it as a conservative candidate, not just as a good businessman, which is what I have so far. On the other hand, the point that Pindell made, and he got exactly backwards, is that Hemingway, who's been working the race for a long time and is doing most excellent work, now has a primary challenger who was well funded in the form of Havenstein. And Pindell put it exactly backwards. because the establishment put up this candidate, therefore he is the candidate with opponents, not there's a candidate already and he's the new challenger.
Right, right.
And he has to be regarded as the new challenger until he makes his mark on the campaign trail.
But there's one common thread. This is they're both they're primary deniers. That's what they are. Okay, they view themselves. The mirror they're looking in says you're the nominee.
That's certainly the case for Brown. I'm not sure if Havenstein's got that far yet, but
look at his commercial.
Okay, I don't watch enough TV. I tell you what, anybody get any news from the Rhino charge last night?
No.
The thunder of heavy hooves came all the way from New Jersey for Havenstein last night.
Oh, Chris Christie.
Unfortunately, I was out of town.
Oh, so somebody actually made a sandwich, and here comes Chris Christie. Okay.
I believe there were multiple sandwiches. It was an event with food.
Yeah. Well, with the lap band, he does have to have more like finger
food. Yes,
food now.
I figure
you got to give him credit. He has lost an awful lot of weight. Really
I can poke him with sharp sticks because look at me, I'm a fat guy. So
I don't care what he looks like. I'm just concerned about his policies.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That doesn't make a difference to me whether he is a fat gay guy. I don't care. It has nothing to do with any of that stuff. That's all external. It doesn't matter to me if he's a woman or a man or both, or if he's a Republican or it's his policies. I disagree with Democrats on policy. I don't care what they look like. I disagree with Republicans on policy.
And that's where we've been having most of our disagreements with Scott Brown, because he refuses to answer questions in the detail that we believe we have to have in order to say, can we trust your stances? I mean, he'll give what I call a half-pad answer and then deflect and go on everywhere else. And, you look at his TV ads. Okay, I understand. You have to introduce yourself to the voters. But now the second one, he's continuing on the personal narrative. He's taking a page out of the Clinton playbook.
Who the hell? I'll be frank here. Who the hell cares if he had an abused childhood or he had to rescue a sister, or if his mother made 13 terrible choices? I'm sorry, 3 maybe, 13. That's a problem.
It's very Obama 2008-ish, where you control the message. You work on your personality. You make every attack is personal. It's not political. You control the message. Obama did a better job because he did a lot of his policy issues. They'd make a controlled YouTube video, and somebody'd say, "Well, where does he stand on this?" And they go, "Well, go look at this video." And it wouldn't say anything, but that'd be the only answer you'd get.
But to play up an unfortunate childhood and to play on his sister having suffered during that unfortunate childhood, and him, yes, it makes a great point that he's the good big brother and the good loyal son, and he's protected his mother and his sister, and we applaud him for that. But for goodness sake, why are you trading on your family members to tell us what a good guy you are? How about what a good voter you were? How about what a good negotiator you were for conservative principles?
But he can't, and that's the problem. So he switches to the personal narrative,
right? And
trying
we think
to create
he's a good
sympathy.
guy. He's a great guy. Good guy. Thanks for your service. Nice guy. It's about the votes. I don't care about anything else. You're not going to Washington, D.C. to be a nice guy.
No.
I want you to not be a nice guy.
We'd rather you went there and were a smooth-talking guy, but a curmudgeon like Bob Smith, who says hell no every time something bad comes up.
And, we get raked over the coals for being, quote-unquote, the party of no. I'm tired of seeing that Overton window continuously being moved to the left. I want it brought back to the right. So if you've got to say no to a leftward move, I want it no. Then I want it brought back our way. So we can say, all right, now we can have some way to compromise with people and say, yeah, we'll compromise, but we're not going to compromise our principles altogether. We'll compromise on how our principles are being implemented. And that's what the mainstream press loves to ignore. That's what the Democrats love to ignore, because, as we all say on the right, the only compromise we have is what they want, not hardly any time that what we need.
Well,
and I think that this country needs a lot more to say, we need to be left alone. I've been having a hard time with, what's her name, the new head of the EPA.
Gina McCarthy.
Oh,
my God.
And you know something? I had a nightmare last night where I confronted her and I said, you know something? And I had part of a public, a post on this. When did they stop being public servants and became our rulers instead? When did they stop serving us and said, we're going to determine what it is and how it is that you're going to live your life. It's just totally out of control, and this dense pack, crisis after crisis after crisis. I mean, it's one cloud pivot after another. It's just driving me crazy.
If they want to compromise, here's my compromise. Move the power back to the state.
Yeah.
We won't change the power. Let's just move it to the states and then let the states decide what to do with it.
All of these things should be regulated by the states. And thinking of regulated by the states, on Wednesday night, Smith and Rubens both, they had a couple of moments of violent agreement.
Great video, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go to GrokTALK.com. He recorded the entire
look for reference.
debate.
Look for the references to Not Brown debate because he wouldn't go.
Great debate. Check it out.
Yes.
And Merrimack Business Association. I got all of it. I got it in fairly high def on a little camera with stereo microphones.
And you can just check the questions you want. You don't have to listen to the whole
and
thing.
you know what the questions are because they're spelled out. And there's 12 questions. And there's an opener and a closer. And it's good. And they were in violent agreement on a few things. And they picked on each other on a few things. It was quite lively. But they were in violent agreement on one thing particularly. They hate Dodd-Frank, and they hate the way that Scott Brown was a sellout, that he was bought by the Democrats. You know, cui bono? Who benefits if Scott Brown votes for Dodd-Frank? That is the question. How does he benefit if he votes for Dodd-Frank? He's either very gullible or he's getting something, because it's a terrible piece of legislation. It micromanages financial institutions. It guarantees that too big to fail is bigger and is going to fail harder next time. And it's just got another devil's spawn this week. I don't know if you guys were paying attention.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
I forwarded the town hall article for anybody who had time to pick it up while I was working and running around. So the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which, by the way, was going to be the resting place of Elizabeth Warren before she ran for Senate, it has declared that it has the ability to issue cease and desist orders to any business, anywhere, for any reason, and then you got to go to court to get your business back. I'm sorry.
They can just shut you down.
Nothing tyrannical about that.
No, not at all. And to which my personal response is, first, the answer is hell no. You have no authority inside the state. And secondly, let's have some armed resistance. You can't arbitrarily shut down people's means of providing a living for themselves.
It's up to governors to step up and say, go to hell.
And that's why this governor's race is so important. And
That's a good question to ask Maggie Hassett. Will you let IPAB shut down a business
No,
in your
not
state?
IPAB.
I mean,
that's the healthcare one.
Oh, right.
The same thing in
protection,
healthcare.
IPAB shuts down people. It's the death penalty.
What's the acronym for the Liz Warren?
Consumer Protection.
Yeah.
Consumer Finance Protection Bureau.
Yeah.
CFP.
But he's got it right.
Right.
IPAB shuts down humans. This shuts down businesses, and both of them, I believe, are constitutionally unconstitutional because everybody's appointed, nobody is accountable, nobody is elected to that. In fact, both of them are, by law, pushed away from any kind of electability. They are totally independent.
And
nobody can tell them what to do. They can raise their own money, and they can do what they want.
They can't be shut down by Congress by defunding them because their money is separately provided from
By
the
Federal Reserve.
So basically, they can print and dilute our money in order to fund the people that are going to steal our money.
And tell us we can't make any money.
And tell us we can't make any money.
But this is the case. This is one of the prime reasons.
Hey, when you bend over, make sure you have some of this. Okay.
Oh, hold on.
Yes.
Put it in front of the other camera.
This camera?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me
Somebody
move
gave
it
me
up.
this as a gift.
This is first quality ass wipes to be used for cleaning up.
Yes.
We will be using it to clean up from time to time today. We won't actually be shooting at the roll because that might be a little too symbolic.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to put that near my butt. So. Probably get a rash.
So
the entire country's got a rash.
No offense,
right
Mr. President, but I wouldn't even put your face next to my ass.
How do I segue back from there?
I don't know. Or will we just talk about something else?
No. It really is an important part.
Was that a squirrel moment?
Yeah, squirrel moment.
Hold on. I got a squirrel moment to follow.
No. Stop. The progressive state. The progressives want the administrative state where there is no democracy, there is no voting. It's just a whole set of technocrats that, quote unquote, are nonpartisan experts that understand how to create an efficient society. That is their whole mantra since the Industrial Revolution. that they will work on our behalf to make our lives and us better. But here's these two bureaus that they have finally snuck through, and there's nothing we can do about it. And they've put them at the apex of two of the most important things of American life, our health care and our finances. They can look at any of your financial transactions. They can do anything with the business. In other words, they're all seeing, and now they're all doing as well. Same thing with IPAP. They can say, you are not worth anything. You're the procedures and the medications that you need to survive, you can't have.
All right, we're going to turn the mics off for 3 minutes and a couple seconds here, and take a break so I can add the music ex post facto, and we will be back in about 3.5 minutes. So if you'd be so kind, Mr. Board Operator, to kill our mics and leave the live stream running so people can watch us, and we'll be right back.
GrokTV.